Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to another episode of The Safety Specialist, where I am the safety specialist. It's starting to get cold outside, hence my jacket. So what's the topic today? Let's talk about winterizing your cars. Depending on where you live, as the weather gets colder, you're going to start probably seeing a flashy light on your dashboard. It looks like an exclamation point in most vehicles, if not all vehicles. And that's your tire pressure sensor monitor. What does that mean? Well, as the weather gets colder, the air molecules inside your tires actually get closer together. And so your tires get what looks like a little bit deflated. There's nothing to worry about. Just make sure that you go either to your local mechanic, or you can even go to many gas stations have air that you could fill up your tires with, and make sure that you fill up your tires to the operational standard that's inside of the book that comes into your vehicle. If you're not sure, you could also Google it. Make sure that your tires are inflated to the proper operational standard. And the reason for that is because if they're underflated or overinflated, you're not going to get the best traction and miles per hour on your vehicle. And while we're talking about, inflating the tires, make sure that your tires also are not too worn out. You don't want to have tires with little to no treads on them. And the reason for that is as the weather gets colder and the ground starts to freeze up, you want to make sure that you have as much traction as possible, especially when it starts to snow. The reason for that is so you don't get stuck. Now, other things to consider when talking about winterizing your vehicles: make sure that the battery is good and that the alternator is also good. The reason for that is because as the weather gets colder, it's harder for your car to start. The reason for that is that the battery might not have enough amps. And so you want to, again, you could either go to your local mechanic, or you could even go to many places like AutoZone, and they could check it for free, your battery and your alternator. And this way you get on top of it so that when the first cold snap comes to your area, you don't have to worry about your car not starting because of the battery. Other things to consider: your windshield wiper fluid. In the summer, you probably use a different windshield wiper fluid than in the winter. In the winter, you want to have one that says de-icer on it. And the reason for that is when you're scraping off the ice and frost on your windshields, you want to make sure that when you turn on your windshield wipers to wash away the rest, that depending on the temperature outside, you're not refreezing your windshield because the windshield wiper fluid wasn't the correct one. So make sure you check your battery, your windshield wiper fluid. And when we're also talking about winterizing your vehicles, consider undercoating your vehicle. Undercoating is a chemical that gets sprayed onto the bottom of your vehicle. And again, depending on where you live, it could be very, very important and useful, because if, looking at how expensive cars are, and with, unions going on strike, with the car manufacturers, cars are getting very expensive. It's harder to purchase a newer used vehicle now. So you want to make sure that the car that you currently have is going to last you longer. And undercoating definitely helps with that, especially if you live in an area where they use a lot of salts on the ground, and that is to get rid of the snow and the ice. But if it gets stuck under your vehicle, it could actually cause corrosion, and that's what causes the rust on the bottoms of the vehicles. And so you want to ensure that your car doesn't get rusted. So undercoating definitely helps with that. And other things to consider: first aid kits and emergency kits in the wintertime. Make sure that you have a blanket. Make sure that, if you're going to have anything like water in your vehicle, it's a good idea to have it in like a cooler or an insulated like bag. And the reason for that is because, if your car is sitting overnight outside, if you don't have like a garage, if that water freezes, then, when you're thirsty, if you're stuck in your car, all you're going to have is ice. So the coolers, yes, they do normally keep things cool, but, they're protecting whatever's inside from the outside temperatures. So it does help a little bit with regulating the temperature. And other things to consider, like I said, like a blanket, you could get thermal blankets. Stores also, they have little packets that I forget what they're called, but that they help keep your hands warm. you could purchase those relatively cheap. Make sure that you have flares, jumper cables, first aid kits, bandages. Make sure that you have anything that you think you would need, medications, extra medications, but double check your medications to make sure A, they're not expired, and B, also if they have to be kept at certain temperatures. So, because when the weather gets freezing, you don't want your medications to get like damaged or ruined because they're too cold and they get frozen. So just double check on those items also. And again, it's still early in the season now, but it's almost October, and before you know it, it's going to be November and then December. So the best time to start thinking about winterizing your vehicle is now. Definitely try to get that appointment in. And again, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. Thanks. Stay safe. Bye.